As we gather together, we acknowledge that the land upon which our church and homes exist is the ancestral land stolen from the people of the Shoshone-Bannock, the Shoshone-Paiute, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai, and Nez Perce nations, along with many other tribes whose names have been lost in history. We acknowledge that our presence here today is founded upon the exclusions and erasures of many Indigenous peoples. With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our ongoing commitment to the work of dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor Indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a community gathered to nurture spiritual growth, deep connection, and faithful action for a better world. I'm the Reverend Sara LaWall, and it is my great honor to serve this beloved community.
And I am Gwyn Reid, and I'm your celebrant this morning. We welcome all who join us in the spirit of curiosity, love, and justice. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, your presence is a blessing. Whether you are with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or Zooming with us this morning for the first time, we're glad you're here.
Even as we gather together virtually, we want to take a moment to welcome each other and give a little hello. So we invite you, if you are able and comfortable, to turn on your cameras and switch your Zoom to gallery view and just take a moment to scroll through the pages and give a wave to everybody that you see over there. Hello. Hi, Casey and John. It's great to see you. Hi, Mark.
Hi,
and
Linda.
the Crumbs. And Sandy, and faces. Gwyn and I have to squint to read names
Hi,
because
Carolyn.
You're far away from us.
Hi, Teresa.
It's a lovely practice just to be able to see one another, and you can even say hello to folks whose cameras aren't on. I see the Mark Zimmerer and Deborah Smith and Sue Stadler out there. We're so glad to be together this morning. Thank you all for joining us. We know that we had some technical challenges last Sunday and some sound challenges, and we have done our very best to try to troubleshoot them, and we think that they're fixed. And we also ask you for your grace and your patience as we continue to embrace all of this new technology that we're bringing in here together. And we will continue to hear your feedback and do everything we can to make our worship services as smooth and as meaningful as possible.
And we want to take a moment now to welcome those newcomers among us. We know it takes a lot of courage to check out a new community, and we are so glad you've joined us today. And we invite you to introduce yourself in the chat so our community can warmly welcome you. And please fill out our newcomer form. We'll post a link in the chat so you can find it, and we can keep you then up to date with all that is happening in our fellowship.
And we have a lot going on, even as we continue this hybrid virtual space that we're inhabiting. I have a few things that I want to highlight. A reminder to all of our youth, our coming of age youth from 6th grade through 12th grade. We're gathering in the courtyard today with a little show and tell. So bring something that you can show to your friends at noon today in our courtyard. And we hope that you will stay with us after worship. Today is our town hall and Q&A with the board and me. Members of RE and our worship team will also be present, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about our COVID guidelines, our hope for reopening, and hear your thoughts and feedback. That happens at 11:30 today, so we'll have a little bit of a break after the worship service before we reconvene together. And then we invite you to come back with us on Zoom tomorrow night on Indigenous Peoples Day for a program hosted by our Racial Justice Ministry team featuring Dr. Kimberly Marshall. That's Monday night at 7 p.m. and we'll include a link for you in the chat. Later on in the week, folks from the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Peoples program are hosting a conference, and we'll post registration and information about that conference. That's October 14th for you in the chat as well. There's some wonderful programs happening in our community. And our Courtyard Conversations, which is an in-person gathering that was scheduled for next Sunday the 17th, has filled up already. So thank you all who signed up to participate. And you can certainly be put on a waiting list. You can just email Nancy in the office and we'll take care of that for you.
It is our practice here at the Fellowship to donate 25% of our unpledged plate offering to support our social justice ministries. For the month of October, we're proud partners of the Idaho Suicide Prevention Hotline. They provide 24/7 free and confidential suicide and behavioral health crisis intervention and are committed to ensuring that those served are heard and empowered with options to stay safe while addressing their personal crisis. We will no longer have a special time for collecting our online offering while our services are virtual, but you can make your gift at any time by going to our website at boiseuu.org and clicking the word give at the top right corner, or you can download the new giving app from Vainco on your smartphone to make your gift at any time during the service or after it. And of course, your checks by mail are also welcome.
Our spiritual theme for this month of October is cultivating relationship. Today, we explore cultivating a relationship with yourself and the value of carving out time to discover who you really are in the depth of your being. As we enter into this time of worship together, let us take a moment to breathe together. Fill your body with breath. Breathe, knowing that our breath connects us to one another, to our bodies, to this planet, and to our spiritual center, giving us that stillness to listen to our heart's own longing. As you hear the words of our opening poem this morning, I invite you to hear all those thines and thous as spoken directly to yourself. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-driven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep, to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp where my feet shall tread. Thy way is steep past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream.
Each week, we light a flaming chalice, a symbol of our free faith, a beacon of welcome, of hope, a light of truth and love. We join in this lighting in solidarity and community with thousands of other Unitarian Universalists lighting chalices today in churches, homes, and in virtual worship spaces, reminding us that we are connected to one another and to a larger community of faith and love. If you have a chalice nearby, you are invited to light it with us and to share in the chat where your chalice is lit this morning. With our collective chalices lit in all our spaces, we offer you this call to worship, a litany of wholeheartedness from the Reverend Don Skay Cooley. Each line is followed by the refrain, "We let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are." We invite you to say it aloud with us, even while muted, to bring the words to life with your own voice.
Because there have been times when shame has crushed our ability to be wholehearted.
We let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are. Because we have not always had the courage to be imperfect, we let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are.
Because we have struggled to have compassion for ourselves or others,
we let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are. Because we have been afraid of our own vulnerability, we let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are.
Because we are sometimes too scared to live authentically,
we let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are. Because we want to be wholehearted people, confident in our worthiness and our belonging, we let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are. Come, let us worship together.
I invite everyone to settle into your seat and get cozy for our Time for All Ages this morning. So today, we're going to get our story time started with a simple connection to our body. And we've already gotten started. I've noticed, I don't know if you notice this too, when you're part of a group chant, even if you're only hearing yourself in one voice through the computer, it connects to something in your body. Group chants, as well as movement practices, bring us right back into ourselves. Our hearts are at the center of so much of our wisdom. So let's give our hearts a little extra attention today. I'm gonna lead us in a seated cat-cow. For those of you who do yoga, that will give you a clue to what we're up to. So everyone, get kind of settled in your chair so you've got a little bit of wiggle space. Set your hands on your knees or comfortably in your lap. We'll take one neutral breath in and out. I immediately feel a difference when we do a deep breath together. For our next breath, I want you to pull your shoulders down and back and lead your chest out with your breaths, with your inhale. So in, shoulders down and back as much as you're comfortable. And then with your exhale, we'll reverse it. We'll pull our shoulders forward and push our spine back and empty our breath all the way out. We're going to do that 2 more times. Taking our inhale, shoulders back, chest forward, open. Exhale, pulling our shoulders forward while our ribs go back, and we stretch our back, and it's a beautiful, delicious stretch. Inhale, pulling our shoulders back. Exhale. To our cat. I'm gonna have us come to a nice, neutral, straight, whatever that means, spine. Lift your arms up. Do whatever stretches and wiggles feel good. And I am really curious how these stretches feel in your body. Have you noticed a change inside of you? I'm gonna rub my palms together and get a little heat and ask everyone to place your hands over your heart. And I wonder, and I hope you wonder too, what do you like about yourself? Think of whatever comes up first. You can hunt if you need to. What do you like about yourself? Once you have a response, even if your response is that you can't think of anything right now, I want you to repeat after me. I am love. I am love. Our story this morning is I Am Love by Susan Verde and illustrator Peter H. Reynolds. It's going to help us explore all the ways that we practice and embody love. Oh, pardon that. I Am Love, a book of compassion. When I see someone going through a storm, it's tough to see someone who's in pain or sad. A storm of hurt and unfairness, of anger and sadness. When the sun disappears and the skies grow dark. And I see there is fear. I ask myself, what can I do to help let the light back in? I put my hands on my heart, just like we did before, and listen. And that is where I find the answer. I have compassion. I act with tenderness. I am love. I can listen and not say a word. I can be there. Love is being present. I can hug and hold and say, everything will be all right. Love is comfort. I can speak softly and choose my words and actions carefully. Love is gentle. I can give thanks for all I have and am able to share. Love is gratitude. I can keep my mind and body safe and healthy. Love is taking care of me. I wonder how many of you can recognize that yoga move? How many of you have done that big stretch? I can express what is important to me. Love is creative. I'm going to do a little narration of this illustration. We have right now, our protagonist is growing a gorgeous flower made out of growing, well, a gorgeous heart made out of growing flowers, and one of their friends has kind of stomped through it. Their eyes are closed and they aren't paying attention. I can know that no one is perfect. Love is understanding. So their reaction, they aren't yelling, they aren't upset. Looks like they're explaining and sharing. That's a very understanding reaction. I can do my best to make things better when something is wrong. Here, their friend is helping them replant these flowers. I can celebrate those I've loved before. Love is remembering. They're lighting a candle for their lost loved ones. I can find goodness in a kind word, a helping hand, or a shared smile. Love is tiny gestures. I can breathe in the air that the whole world shares and know all creatures are made from the very same stardust. Love is connection. When clouds roll in, for others and for me, I now know that there is something I can do. I can let my heart lead the way. I am love. You are love. We are love. And with love, we will weather the storm and light up the sky together. I wonder, when was a time you worked to make things better when something was wrong? And what are some instances in our story that you saw that happen in? When she helped her friend when they helped their friend who was under the cloudy sky, when their friend helped them replant the trampled flowers. What is one way that you keep your body and your mind safe and well? Does feeling present inside of your body change? If you've noticed that, does it change how you respond to others or how you feel the power of love? I invite everyone to join me in singing our community blessing as we bless this multi-generational community full of ever learning, ever growing, ever justice seeking beloveds.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
Our reading this morning comes from Margaret Weiss. This is a recipe for resilience. This recipe has been tweaked over time, so adjust as necessary. Sometimes it yields more servings than anticipated. Sometimes it needs a bit more of this ingredient or that. It comes from generations who have gone before me, and I've added my own flavor along the way. A recipe for resilience. 1 part courage, 2 part fears of failure and doubt, 1 part deep listening, 1 part each of both silence and laughter, a dash of trust, a pinch of wonder, a heaping scoop of naps and snacks. In a separate bowl, mix together family, friends, and those who challenge you to be your best self, those with whom you disagree. Add slowly to the larger pot. Add a bay leaf for, well, whatever it is bay leaves do, and let simmer for as long as you need, which is often longer than you realize or anticipate. Keep the heat at an even temperature, hot enough to cook throughout, but not so hot it burns the bottom. Can be served at room temperature, warm, or even cold if necessary. Serve alongside your favorite soft blanket, dog, cat, or other soft item. Make often. Share with others. Hold on to the leftovers. You'll need them after a long day that challenges your soul.
What a lovely reading. It occurs to me that we've all been making versions of this recipe for the last 18 months. Perhaps you already had a good recipe to follow and just tweaked it for these pandemic times. Or perhaps you began concocting a whole new recipe of your own. Either way, I think we've all gotten pretty good at cooking up some resilience. In my world, this recipe gets made and tweaked nearly every week, adding and subtracting ingredients depending upon what is needed in the moment or how I'm feeling. I like to double up on the heaping scoop of naps and snacks. If I'm clued in to myself enough, to that inner knowing, then sometimes I have a clarity to add a little more trust or to double up the courage. Sometimes I sense I need to dial back the laughter because it's overtaking the silence. Other times I can barely hear my own self speaking, her voice drowned out by that inner critic, by life's ceaseless demands. Cultivating a relationship with yourself can be intimidating. It requires all those ingredients in that recipe to ask, who am I really? Deep down, deep inside, when I strip away the armor and the material possessions, even all the roles that I inhabit, who is the me at my core? Who are you, really? Deep down inside, when you strip away the armor and the material possessions, and even the roles you inhabit, who is the you at your deepest core? Anytime I meet people I don't know, I dread being asked that question we've been conditioned to ask when we meet someone new. So what do you do? I hate that question. And I often pause longer than is typical, debating if I should tell the truth or not. It's not that I am embarrassed about what I do or that I don't like it. Quite the opposite is true, I promise. It is that I usually have to follow it with a lot of explanation, answering questions about what we believe and what is Unitarian Universalism, fielding responses like, I've never heard of that religion, or, oh yeah, I've been to that church once, and fighting the urge to ask, why didn't you come back? Sometimes I get puzzled looks and blank stares as if this person that they are staring at and the words, I am a minister, just don't fit together. Sometimes I get embarrassed looks and apologies for the profanity they just used. Sometimes people don't know even what to say and they just move right along. And regardless of the reaction, who I am gets lost. Knowing what someone does certainly gives us helpful and important clues about their life and sometimes a peek into who they are, but it falls so short because we are so much more than what we do and the roles we hold in life. What if we asked each other, who are you? Or what do you love? When I thought about what it would feel like to be asked those questions, and when I considered my own answers, it felt very unnerving. Those are very vulnerable questions, and being vulnerable can be really hard. If we're going to get good at cultivating relationship with others, if we're going to get good at cultivating gratitude and kindness, we have to start with ourselves. We're the only ones who have a direct experience with our deepest selves and our inner world, with our spiritual center. Arguably, the most important relationship in life is our relationship to ourself. So how do we go about this? I mean, how might we cultivate a relationship with ourselves? There's so many tips and advice columns to explore on this topic. And the tips are all what you'd expect. Things like reserving judgment of yourself and others, noticing negative self-talk and letting go of your inner perfectionist, spending time alone, practicing good self-care like getting enough rest and sleep and hydration, eating healthy. I mean, those alone work wonders. All of those tips are spot on. But how often do we really practice them with deep intention? I know in my own life it's pretty sporadic. One article I read suggested taking yourself on a date. What would the perfect date with yourself look like? Where would you go? What would you wear? What stories would you tell? What questions would you ask yourself? I have a few. What brings you the greatest joy? What is your deepest fear? What wisdom would you offer your 10-year-old self looking back on your life? What about your 20-year-old self? What wisdom do you have for your future self? And in the telling of those stories and sharing of that wisdom, what stories do you still carry around that no longer serve you? How often do you just sit with yourself, figuring out who you are? I used to do a lot more of this in my 20s. I was deep into pagan spirituality at the time, and so I was doing regular tarot card readings for myself and all of this guided journaling, and it was really clarifying and really hard at times. I wanted to dig deep and understand myself. I wanted to really dig out what was important in my life. What did I want to focus on? Where did I want to put my energy? This was at a time when my adult life was just beginning and when things felt a little bit simpler and I seemed to have a whole lot more free time, because after kids came along and I went to grad school and then to seminary and found a career path, all that exploration and cultivating just sort of slowly evaporated. And I find this ironic because the career path toward ministry is all about self-exploration. Only now I was being graded on it, which changes those experiences just a little bit. I miss that time, and I'm working on ways to bring it back into my world. In 2015, the New York Times published an essay by Mandy Len Catron in which she shared how she and an acquaintance tested a study to see if two strangers could fall in love by asking each other a series of deep questions. In the original study by psychologist Arthur Aaron, Two strangers, the study was conducted in a lab, two strangers in the lab not only fell in love, but they were married 6 months later. As it turned out, Mandy and her friend also fell in love. The 36 questions include things like, if a crystal ball could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, the future, or anything else, what would you want to know? And if you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? The questions end with staring into the other's eyes for 4 whole minutes. I'll post a link to the essay and the questions in the chat so you can check them out for yourself. My husband Michael and I have played with the questions. I mean, we're married, so presumably we already fell in love once. But we liked the questions, and they helped us get past the superficial chatter and remember why we love each other. We spent hours one afternoon answering these questions and telling the stories behind our answers. We learned new things about each other, especially in this place of our lives together. Our answers were very different than they would have been when we got married 24 years ago. But what surprised me the most in going back to these questions, and when I reread Katrin's essay, is how hard the questions are, how they challenged me to think deeply about my life, and how much I learned about myself through my own answers. What's fascinating, if not surprising, is that even just 5 years later, my answers are different than the first time I read the questions. Life changes us. I mean, my God, look at how this pandemic has changed us. Each milestone, each passage in life, each hurdle and celebration, each new relationship we nurture can change us dramatically. We are always evolving and growing in good ways and in hard ways. Cultivating a relationship with yourself means coming back again and again to remember, relearn, and reclaim who you are. As I looked at the questions with new eyes this time, it occurred to me that maybe these 36 questions that lead to love don't just lead to love with another person, but also with yourself. Maybe we might think of them as 36 questions to make you fall in love with yourself. Because if we cannot love and know ourselves, how can we truly love and know another? How can we love the world? The truth is, few of us rarely allow ourselves the time and space to dive into our own inner lives, to our heart's truth and longing. It can be a scary adventure to go deep inside. Sometimes we discover dark places, unsettling truths, painful wounds, bottled up emotions, things we'd rather not explore. But even in those dark places lives the truth of who we are, flawed and beautiful, broken and whole, loved and loving, worthy of ourselves, worthy of being known. Spiritual teacher Mark Nepo wrote, "Unconditional love is not so much about how we receive and endure each other. It's about the deep vow to never, under any condition, stop bringing the flawed truth of who we are to each other." When we can show up authentically, vulnerably, in the flawed truth of who we are, especially with ourselves, we invite others to do the same. In our Unitarian Universalist theology, which emphasizes a personal, direct experience and a search for one's own truth and meaning, responsibly, of course, cultivating a relationship with ourselves becomes the place where we might encounter the holy or the divine. Not out there somewhere, but here. inside ourselves, in our hearts. And when we can claim and recognize the spark of the divine that lives within us, we're better equipped to see the spark of the divine everywhere, in all of humanity. It won't be easy. We'll armor up, we'll resist, we'll judge ourselves and each other, sometimes too harshly. We will lose faith and fall down and get banged up in the process. But in the quiet moments, when we pause to truly see and hear ourselves, when we let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are, our hearts will crack open and love might fall in. Let the love in. Add it to the recipe. It makes everything taste better. And may we always remember, make it often. Share with others. Hold on to the leftovers. You'll need them after a long day that challenges your soul. May it be so. May you be so. Amen. Sharing ourselves with others is also one of the ways that we can cultivate that relationship with ourselves. We can cultivate the courage and vulnerability and authenticity it takes to say what's true for ourselves and what's happening in our lives, to share our deepest sorrows and our soaring joys and everything in between. As we begin this moment of joys and sorrows together, you'll be invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat, but we begin with holding the McCallum family in our hearts. Valora, Blake, Becky, and Eloise are having all kinds of struggles with health and family and many deaths in their life, and we just send them our love and blessing. And we hold Costin Frederick in our heart as he begins that slow move toward the next transition in life. I was able to just see him this past week, and he's still a bright light shining. You are invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat as we receive the blessing of beautiful music from Dana River.
Oh, love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. I confess I've been trying so hard to keep it all out, keep it all out. So love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. I give up trying so hard to keep it all out, keep it all out. So love, fill me, breathe me to pieces. Love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in. If I'm made for love, make me strong enough. And when I need to hide, love heart, it's wide open. Doves fly out, and doves come home, here to rest. In my heart is wide open, heart is wide open, my heart is wide open, heart is wide open, my heart is wide open. Fill me, breathe me to peace. Heart is wide open, my heart. Fill me, breathe me to peace. Heart is wide open, my heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open, my heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Breathe me to peace when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open, my heart is when I need to hide. Love, hold me in your grace. Heart is wide open, sweet love, I pray that you break my heart so wide open that the whole world falls in.
I invite you to join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. We'll begin with a guided meditation and then close this moment together in prayer. So I invite you to find a comfortable spot for your body. And if you're able and it's comfortable for you to close your eyes and just take some breaths. Just allow yourself to settle in to your body, to your space and surroundings. And I invite you to imagine yourself in one of your favorite spaces. A favorite room, a favorite place outdoors, a favorite city even. Maybe you're sitting under a tree or on the banks of a river. Notice what surrounds you. Notice the comfort in your body being in this favorite space. Notice how it makes you feel. Breathe. Settle in. Be with yourself. Consider who you are right now, right here in this particular moment. What is true about you right now? Speak aloud or in your mind a few sentences to describe the you that is showing up right now, beginning with the words, I am. I am love. I am peace. I am rage. I am pain. Try not to judge the words or emotions that come to you as positive or negative. They might be both at the same time. Just notice. Speak them aloud or in your mind, and allow them to be true just for today. I am hope. I am contentment. I am non-attachment. I am breath. Continue speaking aloud or in your mind your phrases for who you are, welcoming all of who is showing up in this moment. Spirit of life and love, holy mystery. May we create quiet spaces to encounter our deepest selves. May we throw our arms wide open and say, I've been waiting for you. May we ask deep questions and listen to the answers without judgment. May we laugh at all our rough edges, even as we do the painstaking work of smoothing them down just a little. May we take all the rest and care we need, heaping scoops of naps and snacks. May we discover we have more courage than we thought, and trust is with us always. May our hearts break open and the divine shine forth, wrapping us in love always. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen.
Of my life, the seas are changing, there's a distance you're inside. Put it out there, put it out, show them what's within, show them what's beneath your skin. I guess it's true, I've had it rough. Sometimes it feels like I have heard enough. Put it out there, put it out. Let the sunlight in, a brand new day begin. It's time to let the sunlight in. Put it out there, put it out there, love. Put it out there, put it out. Remember who you are, love. It's time to let the sunlight in. This is the first day of my life. The seas are changing, there's a distant shore in sight. Put it out there, put it out. Show them what's within, show them what's beneath your skin. It's time to let the sunlight in. Put it out there, put it out there, love. Put it out there, put it out. Remember who you are, love. It's time to let the sunlight in. Put it out there, put it out there, love. Put it out there, put it out. Remember who you are, love. It's time to let the sunlight in. 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 It's time to let the sunlight in.
Thank you, Mike, for that beautiful song to close our service today. Friends, I invite you to place your hands over your hearts for our closing blessing. Let's take a moment from our time for all ages and warm up those hands so you can warm up that heart. Let us have the courage to be imperfect, to welcome our vulnerability and live lives of bravery and authenticity. Let us become wholehearted people, confident in our worthiness and our belonging. Let us let go of who we ought to be and embrace who we are. Blessed are we all. Go in peace.